Satchidanand to everybody. So in English we say good afternoon, but Jai Satchidanand is a very holistic, comprehensive word, meaning thereby real self of all of us is Sat means eternal, Chit means having the properties of knowing, seeing, and bliss as an inherent nature. So we welcome you all with pure vision, seeing the pure self or Satchidanand Swarup in you all. And as we proceed, we have designed this session as a round table. So it is going to be highly interactive session. We wish to talk less and we want more questions from you. So a live, fully interactive, practical session with emphasis on use in our own living. And we try to answer the questions and clear doubts related to various topics, trying to bring out the novel truths or the areas which are not clear nor known to us with an holistic approach. So each topic there will be very brief introduction just to initiate the discussion. Then there will be time for question, answer or discussion and summary by coordinators, and we'll go to the next topic. So I'm just giving you the overview. And we have 6 topics included into this holistic science of life and living. Introduction, that is part 1. Golden keys for happy, harmonious and positive daily living, that is part 2. Mind and its mysteries is part 3, subtopic 3. Art and science of speech or communication is subtopic 4. Self-realization 5th. And 6th are some simple scientific universal tools. After all descriptions, doctor wants to give some prescription also. So the last one would be some simple scientific universal tools. So as we go ahead, as I have already told, it is fully interactive live sessions. It is not based on scriptures or your texts, but it's based more on Gyan revelations, but more importantly, insights and experiences of the resource persons. Topics I have already said, and the first topic I will start as an introduction. So, holistic science of life and living. Now, there has been so many times questions why you say this is a science. Right, Sreekala ji? So, science word has come from the Latin word scientia. And as I search the thing, scientia means to know about the things. Now, progress of the external science has given us a lot of comforts and luxuries. But when I look within myself, do I have inner stress? Hardly there is anybody without stress. Do I have inner clash, difficulty of adjustment or lack of harmony? This is where the holistic inner science is required or comes into play to have happy, harmonious, positive and rich inner living, to realize and make best use of my inner potentials, to experience the inner freedom and ultimately to attain the ultimate aim of liberation. So what is holistic science of life and living all about? It is science of my own life and living, science or knowledge or understanding, whatever word you want to use, science of I, with mind, speech, body, inner happenings and outer happenings, along with the natural laws and natural regulatory system or cosmos as a whole. So naturally it deals with Atman and Anatman, or conscious and matter, relative self and real self. It tries to deal or clarify the areas of cause and effect, fate and free will, what is in my realm and what is not, what is karma and karma fall. I have already talked in a previous session about the relative inner self or antaskaran and speech. Human life is intimately related with nature, natural laws and natural regulatory system. But that's not all. Here we deal with all aspects of life like wealth or money, Lakshmi ji, which is near and dear to all of us, diet, sensual pleasures, because a human being requires all aspects of life and there has to be guiding knowledge in all aspects. So it provides visions for happy, harmonious daily living to ultimate absolute knowledge. Very important, it is very practical, very easy, very effective, scientific and universal. What I say is a science is, if it works only for me, it is not a science, it is individual whims or maybe my imagination. But when it works for thousands of people, it becomes a fundamental or a principle. It does not ask for hard penance or external renunciations, vrat or jap. What it requires is the correct understanding. This we have already discussed, that what we need here is just the change of vision. Now, the core or basis of this science, the whole world, preachers and teachers teach us or ask us to change the behavior. Don't be angry, keep merciful, and this and that. I decide to behave like that, but I often fail. Like Duryodhan, janami dharmam, nachame pravrutti, janami adharmam, nachame nivrutti. So what is the reason for that? Because can we change the fruit or effect? No. I need to change the seed or a cause. My present behavior or present personality is the effect or result of my past beliefs, which may or may not be readily changed. But what I can change is my present understanding, which will lead to change of inner opinions or bhav and projections. Behavior will result. So this is one core or basis of this science, that it does not ask for forcible change of behavior, but leads to easy change of understanding, subsequently following by the behavior. I am not going into detail body, mind, soul collection, I have already talked, but for some philosophers, this is important, that there are many people in transpersonal psychology area which has used the spiritual dimensions of psychotherapy, and there are several references here. Now we have three types of bodies. One is the gross body, which we doctors dissect to the cellular level, but more importantly we have electrical body or vitality body or a aura body, and the third one is the causal body. The science has been successful to study the first two types of bodies to some extent. The third causal body is not amenable to the present scientific tools. There is a lesha or a aura body. And initially I was not believing. Lord Mahavir and others have described 6 types of leshyas or auras. But now with the GDV compact camera or GDV express camera, we are in a position to manage or measure the aura field. When I am angry or in a revenge mode, it is different. And when I am in a helping, loving or forgiving mode, it is different. There are many, many other references. There is American Institute of Holistic Alternative Medicine, where they are trying to use the body, mind, spirit medicine. There are SPECT scan pictures trying to find out what happens during prayer, what happens during meditation, and so on and so forth. And Andrew Newberg has proved that 12 minutes of daily meditation or spiritual practices not only reduces stress and anxiety, but it reduces or slows down the aging process. Now, a very good topic about consciousness, my friend Paneer Selvam. I hope you don't mind if I consider you as my friend. You are, of course, elderly person, but I would love. So consciousness, what is fundamental consciousness and a functional consciousness? That's a very important question. To holistic science viewpoint, fundamental consciousness is a pure self or a Shuddhatman or unaltered or a consciousness in its own innate nature, having the innate properties. Whereas the functional consciousness is the Pratisthit Atman, superimposed or migratory soul, or working through my beliefs, opinions or karmic layers, or the 3 body types. So in presence of fundamental consciousness, the functional consciousness works differently for the different personalities through different layers of the body. Whether it is one or fragmented, whether consciousness is one or fragmented, it is one by quality or nature, but it is many or numerous in terms of individual journey, individual existence, individual experience, individual purusharth or even liberation. So when we say that it is only one, it is one by quality. But if it is one, how do I do my purusharth separately from him or from any one of you? So it is one by quality, but many in terms of individual journey, existence and experience or individual powers. But the relative self is interconnected and influenced by the cosmic or the other worldly factors, subtle and gross. So where am I? This is a question. If I am doing meditation, I have to ask myself to what extent I have reached. If I am doing yoga, I have to ask to what level I have reached, and so on and so forth. So this is all I have to say as an introduction. And this is open for questions, just 2 to 3 minutes, and comments by Paneer Selvam or even Sohan Raj for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move to the next topic of our daily living. So if there are, I have just briefly tried to correlate and why we say this is a science. And to elaborate it little more, there is a perfect science of conscious and matter, how my mind is formed and how the mind works, how the speech is formed and how the speech works. There is perfect science between each and everything which I am not elaborating here.
Does he propose any typical mode of meditation, Dada Bhagwan?
Well, meditation in itself is a big topic. I am just briefly answering, and that topic has been included in tomorrow's round table. What the world believes as meditation is a good beginning, but that stands or reaches or leads us up to focusing or concentration, that's a good. But according to the Vitrag or Dada Bhagwan, meditation is a continuous state 24/7, and at each given second or a moment, each individual is in one of the 4 states of meditation: Artha Dhyan or self-disturbing, Raudra Dhyan or disturbing to others, Dharma Dhyan or equanimous and balanced, or harmonious, and Shukla Dhyan means in a state of being in a pitha awareness of the pure self. And simple thing, incorrect understandings will lead to Artha and Raudra Dhyan, which most of the world right now is into. The correct understandings will automatically lead to Dharma Dhyan, and if we are fortunate to realize who am I, the Shukla Dhyan also can start. This is the ultimate paramarth of the meditation. I have tried to put in a very subtle way. But having said that, there are many tools which helps me to focus or take my chit into interior purification. Please. Please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear good friend, Dr. Shaileshanandji. Last month, I and Shaileshanandji met in the same place, and we have been discussing how to have a round table on the holistic science and living. Then sir suggested that let us evolve a new methodology. It's not like a seminar type. Wherever you need some clarification or something, you can stop and then we'll go and analysis. But some of the, you might have got this thing which we have already kept in your folders. These are very important concepts which we are planning to discuss. And one concept that is very fascinating, and all concepts are very interesting, but one is the mind and the concept of mind and mysteries. In this context, I would like to say that one of the important contribution of Dadaji is that he could call it a holistic science. In fact, yesterday somebody was asking the question, how could there be holistic science? But we have to see, if you read his work, Dialogue with Dadaji, you can understand that he is able to approach the problem from a different perspective. For example, always there is a demarcation, I would say, between science and non-science, and the scientists never accept the non-science people like philosophers and all that one. That's why we have developed a philosophy of science. Now, Dadaji's approach, I would say, is as a philosopher of science. He gives a perspective which is something very novel and something unique. So, in this way, one can see his philosophical discourse from a purely, different perspective. And another thing is his understanding of mind and its mysteries is a very important problem. And similarly, one more concept which I am very much fascinated is the notion of consciousness. Here also, as I said just now, that there is always a fight or a misunderstanding, I would say, between a scientist and a non-scientist. But the beauty of Dadaji's understanding is that he is able to show a different aspect or different dimensions of science. How could science be directly related to your life? Here in this context, I would like to state the way in which Dadaji has analyzed the notion of consciousness is something remarkable. But the philosopher's approach to consciousness is quite often questioned by many of the scientists. They say that no, we don't accept philosopher's understanding of consciousness. But in Dadaji's understanding, you see the notion of consciousness as a something which is revelatory, I would say. He has a concern for the entire human society, not only human beings, but also the plants and animals. That's why he connects nature with human beings and human beings with nature. So this consciousness which Dadaji is speaking about is something remarkable, because normally we make a distinction between, as he very correctly said, the unitary consciousness and fragmentary consciousness. This is a very important problem for philosophers. We always think that consciousness is fragmentary in nature, because the consciousness which I am having at present is superseded by some other consciousness which I gain later. So consciousness is always fragmented. But besides this fragmentary of consciousness, there is called a unity of consciousness, or one consciousness which combines everything. So this aspect is very much emphasized by Dadaji in his writings. So in fact, I feel that his philosophical discourse comes very close to the philosophy of Advaita, where we make a foundational consciousness and fundamental consciousness. Fundamental consciousness is something unique, something pure, something of course abstract. But apart from this pure consciousness, there is something called foundational. This is foundational. But for day-to-day life also we are using consciousness, which is fragmentary in nature. And when Dadaji speaks about the nature of consciousness, he is able to combine how nature also has this concept of consciousness. So he has got a very wide range of understanding of the philosophical approach, which I think is something remarkable. So I think that we will have further discussion on these topics like mind and mysteries and happy, what do we mean by harmonious life, meaning and positive way of living, then ego, beliefs and opinion, self-realization. Another important concept which our Dadaji has contributed is with regard to self-realization, like the question like who am I and how can one aspire for it, and what are the spiritual perspectives. These are some of the important concepts which I think have to be discussed in this round table. And I would request Sreekala to throw some light on this philosophical understanding of our Dadaji.
Dignitaries on dais and off dais, respectable Swami Dr. Shaileshanandji, he is a surgeon also. That means he has got inner eye, outer eye, and he always talk of the balance of the inner and outer eye. So very well, he has introduced the today's all 6 topics which are going to be discussed, and especially he has talked about the change of the attitude, change of the vision. Dasha badal dijiye, disha badal dijiye, dasa badal jayegi. That means there should be, first of all, we should have the right belief. Actually, problems are with the wrong beliefs. And especially talk at the start and the introduction, that we should first have the right belief. And he has talked of the fundamental consciousness and another the consciousness of the functional. Difference, great difference. Fundamental consciousness is a pure consciousness which we are to realize, which we come through the other discourses, self-realization, and the another consciousness is the functional consciousness. Mostly 99% we persons always work on the functional consciousness with all the subjects, or with Dada, who is a great scientist, with his philosophies. We are to know the art, how we can make our this functional consciousness to the fundamental consciousness. That means how can we get the self-realization. So especially he has talked of the 3 minds also. One is the gross mind which work on our body, and another is luminous mind, and is talked of the Leshya, Krishna, Neel, Kapo, Tejo, Padma, Shukla, Leshya. These are the all say very big factory. in the luminous body, this got Tejas, this subconscious mind is a biggest say, factory where all transformations take place. Every human being changes in any kind of his attitudes, if he transforms himself, he is supposed to go in the subconscious mind. He has talk of the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and the karmic bondage also. That is, the karmic bondage is always with this our fundamental soul. That's why we are working when the fundamental souls plus karmic bond is equal to functional our souls. So this karmic bondage, with all right vision, we are supposed to vanish our karmic bondage, and as soon as we will go on having the right vision, who am I, and all the things, and when we talk of the whole cosmos, that's individual consciousness and the cosmos consciousness, when we je ege jane te sabbe jane, je sabbe jane se ege jane. When we will start knowing our consciousness, definitely that means we will start knowing the consciousness of the whole cosmos. So there should be balance actually. We are supposed to live in both the worlds, outer world, inner world. Straightway, a man can't go to the inner world, or self-realization or fundamental consciousness is a very, very difficult job. Dada has taken the births together. We can't say how many from the time of the Lord that the Rishabh and his son Bharat. Since then, his soul is with him. So after taking such a time, he could achieve it. So it's a very good start. So when anything good start, that means definitely the things will be going on well.
Thank you. Chairman is again going to get the time. So we'll discuss more about this fundamental and functional. Actually, the functional consciousness, Dadaji said, Mishra Chetan and Nishchetan Chetan, it has just the touch of conscious, and what is all functional throughout the universe is the charge matter, but I'm not going to enter into that area right now. So we move on to the next topic, that is our daily living. The scriptures do not show us how to live in a daily life and how to minimize my karmic bonds or how to improve my meditation, but Dadaji has shown. So I invite Swami Mineshanandji for his short presentation of 8 to 9 minutes, followed by around 10 to 12 minutes of questions and 5 minutes for summary.
Jai Satyan to all dignitaries, my brothers and sisters. You all know my topic, so I have not to repeat that. But what we have come to understand here is the science of Dada Bhagwan. The question is, where is happiness? Where is happiness? Like, you want happiness or you like sorrow? Anybody want sorrow? Raise hands. See, nobody wants sorrow. So that means everyone wants happiness. But since we do not know where we get happiness, so we are seeking for happiness in materialistic world. So that is called relative happiness, and relative happiness is temporary happiness. It gives us temporary happiness, which is in small I. That is, I am Mines. Second is real happiness. Where one can get real happiness? Real happiness lies in capital I, that is, I am pure soul self. That is to be experienced, and when you can experience that, with the grace of enlightened soul, Jnani Purus. Once you know who am I, then and only then you will be free from all karmic bondages, your anger, pride, fascination, greed, attachment, aversion, egoism, everything. But till the time you are having belief, if I am having belief that I am Mines, then everything is attached with me. And I am got entangled in these worldly puzzles. So, temporary happiness is belief-based, and permanent happiness is state of being. that is to be experienced. Let us take example. Yogesh bhai, if you are going to buy gold in grocery shop, will you get it? Gold? You will get gold in grocery shop? No. But if you want to buy sweets and you are visiting sweet shop, you will get it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Same way, what Daji says, if you want happiness, start shop of happiness. Why? Because in shop of happiness, what will be the stock? Stock of happiness. That means total absence of sorrow and sadness stock. So once you start shop of happiness, how you can do that? With application, use of your mind, body and speech for others. Not for family members, for others also. That's why Lord Mahavir told, Yog Upayogo Paropkarai, means obliging nature. You use your mind, body and speech for others, that means you are obliging others. In return, you will get happiness. So here what we have to understand, the world is our own projection. World is our own projection. So what will you get? We have to decide what we want, whether we want happiness or we want sorrow. If we want happiness, what we have to project? We have to project happiness. What we like, we have to give it to others. If we like happiness, we have to give happiness to others. If we like sorrow, we have to give sorrow to others. It is like, suppose you are between two mountains, you are shouting, you are king, what echo will come? Echo will come, you are thief, right? Echo will come, you are thief? No, echo will come, you are king, you are king, you are king. Same way, if I am shouting, you are thief, echo will not come, you are king, you are king. Right? So what we have to understand here, if what I like, I have to give it to others. Suppose same way, Harish bhai, you have come from US, Los Angeles, San Francisco, right? When you came here, how much time it took? 40?
20 hours.
20 hours to reach Bombay,
Correct.
right?
Right.
And from Bombay here, 5 more hours.
Right.
So what is going inside? Oh, I have traveled 25 hours journey, I am tired. Why it is so? Because here we are not understanding reality, fact. Answer me, whether you have traveled or plane has traveled.
Plane has traveled.
So who should be tired? Plane should be tired or you should be tired?
The plane should be tired.
You are roaming in the plane, you are sleeping in the plane, and then how can you get tired?
No,
So-
you can't. You should not.
So here we have to understand that whatever psychology is going inside, accordingly we are getting effect of it. So what we have to do, yesterday Ram asked me one question, why we are worshipping Lord Krishna. So well, as we all know, Lord Krishna was having 100% negativities outside, from birth to death. But here we have to understand that from within, he was 100% positive, even for Duryodhana. And everyone, not only for Duryodhana, for everyone. And with his 100% positive, he conquered all negativities of the world. And thereby, his state of being of Vasudeva opened up, unveiled. So here importance of positivity in life is much more than what we think. The example which I gave of traveling, that is also positive thinking. Same way, we have to understand Okay, why we are offering our salutations, namaskar, to others. We understand we are greeting other people, but really speaking, we are not greeting. We are offering our salutations. We are bowing God within that person. So in return, what we will get? Good qualities of that person will unveiled in us. So we are having that vision to get maximization of profit. One more thing, all sorrow, sadness, why are they? Because of the belief that I am meanness. So once we know that who am I, then you will be free from all this entanglement. So first and foremost thing is we have to decide our goal, what we want to achieve, what we want to get, in relative as well as in real. We have to decide by what means we want to earn money, whether positive or negative. What nature says, I am ready to help you out. If you want to earn money through negative means, okay, I will help you. If you want to earn money in a positive way, okay, I will help you. So nature is always ready to help us, but it is our own responsibility. We are whole and soul responsible our own self, our own decisions. So what Daji said, with avoid classes. Why avoid classes? To save our energy, to save our time. Same way, adjust everywhere. Suppose there is fighting between husband and wife. Suppose you are having fight with Jyoti Ben. What both will think? I am more mature, I am more having understanding with them. So what will you do? You both will have competition within to adjust first. So what it will yield? It will yield happiness in home. So your home will become heaven. So here, what we have to do, we have to act with positive vision. So we are here to settle accounts with everyone, every creatures. Same way, what we have to do, we have to find our own faults, not to find fault of others, to be happy. We have to not look into the past, but to look in the past to rectify our mistakes, to learn lessons from our past mistakes. And last but not the foremost, we have not to see or find laws everywhere. We have to settle everywhere. Don't see laws, please settle. Jai Satchidanand to God within all of you. Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand. This is like a T20 match. You have limited overs and you have to fit to that time. So I'm sorry to interrupt my colleagues, but without that we cannot cover the topics laid down here. We cannot have the time for discussion. So before we go to questions, so just to summarize that what he said or what Dadaji has said is, each action of mind, body and speech before affecting others do affect me. So it's not for the sake of others that I'm trying to offer happiness, it's for sake of me. Before obliging others, I'm being obliged. Before my mind, speech and body hurts or disturbs others, I'm being disturbed. So world is me only, there is no other in the world. And then Dadaji gave 4-5 simple visions that like avoid classes, adjust everywhere, win your own home, world need not be conquered, and positive vision which Mineshanandji told. So now we are open for questions for around 8 to 10 minutes, please. I request my friends sitting on the back if they can come in front. Please come in front so we can be more closer and we can be more lively also. So questions are welcome. And for answering the questions, I can pick up anybody randomly from the resource persons. So be ready, everybody, please.
Mineshanandji, you mentioned that what you want is what you give. And then you have what you want. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So if I have money in my pocket and I want to make more money, by giving up my money to others, I will have less money in my pocket. How do I make it more?
Here what we have to understand,
Go ahead.
we are looking at present circumstances. Whereas we are talking, what we are talking about right now we are sowing seeds and we will reap, harvest crop in the next birth. Whatever we are harvesting right now, what we are getting right now is a fruition, karma phal of past birth. So in past birth, if you have given money to others, you are getting right now.
Another
Hope it is
request.
clear.
Yeah, please, thank you. Another request is please keep questions and answers both short, brief, and specific so we can take as many questions. Thank you. Another question. Please, come ahead.
As said rightly, we have to avoid clashes. Yes, we have to avoid for getting peace of mind. But in the society, there are bound to be good people and bad people. Bad in the sense, even our Puranas and Itihasas, they speak. When there is Rama and Ravana, Rama stands for good, Ravana stands for bad. So also Kauravas and Pandavas in Mahabharata. And the Pandavas, when we say that they are good,
Please keep your question short.
Yes, I am coming down. And the Kauravas were bad. So such a distinction between good and bad is inevitable in society. So in that context, the clashes are inevitable and we can't avoid them. Under those circumstances, what is Dadaji's solution for that? How we have to face that conflicts? The conflicts may be there even in our home with our children and with our relatives, very close kith and kin. Then how to avoid such things?
So I take the liberty on behalf of him to answer this question. See, every human being lives at different planes of understanding. Everyone feels I am right. When you have conflict with your wife or your children, you feel you are right, they feel they are right. So avoiding clashes is not letting go the things, not enduring, but having the awareness that I want to resolve this situation amicably with equanimity. And as I am right, everyone may be right by his or her own viewpoint. This is familial or nearby situations I am discussing. So when I decide to resolve the situation amicably, 90% or more of times it is echoed into the other heart and we can come to the amicable situation. The point about good and bad and other things, yes, they are there. But the different peoples, second important thing is this is my inner decision or resolution or bhav or projection. The eventuality may be different, but my bhav should be this and nature mostly helps. The third important thing, the highest order people, enlightened ones like Lord Mahavir or others, they have won the evils not by fighting them, but by their purest state of being, in which by their very presence the evils or impurities were vanished. So Dadaji said, I am not here to fight the evil people, I am here to fight the evils by my purity, by my pure vision, by my pure love. So if you can do that, it is the best possible way, and the history has shown that there are examples. If not, you do end up into clashes, but then you know what are the results. So in any case, eventuality is not in my hand, that we'll discuss later, but my heart, my decision or my projection should be to resolve it amicably with equanimity. All right? Thank you. Yeah, you can tell that. You have right. Yeah, please go ahead. Mineshanandji says if you have to fight, first fight with the evils within. Fight with the inner enemies. And here the Dadaji has one axiom, one aphorism, that nobody can improve others. Improve your own self. Once you are improved by your very presence, the others will be improved. Any more question? We have few minutes for this wide topic. If not, then we'll go to summary. Please.
This is not quite a question, but I was thinking about this holistic thought and holistic living, and this is another point of view, and I want you to tell how this fits into the into the whole integral living of Dadaji.
Okay.
I start in another session. I was talking about this. I start with the notion of a self, not with a big self, but a small self, me. Me, I am not an isolated individual, rather myself essentially is a social self.
Yep.
That it is a social self can be proved. When my wife is hurt, I am hurt. When my children are hurt by this one, so that nobody experiences his own self in an egoistic sense. It is always a social self. This social self constitutes already a whole. Okay. When I am with my relatives and all that, that self is extended to other people. When I am in a neighborhood, it is still extended, that one. And when I am in this particular town, you know, I have a certain attachment to this town, it extended further. So, in other words, it is not as if that we have a small self and a whole, but rather, these are concentric circles. So the self moves from little circle to big self and so on. In the case of a Mahatma, the self is extended to the wholeness. Very few people can attain that sort of a thing. So that that is to think, to live holistically is to extend yourself, so to encompass everybody around as yourself. That is how I am trying to understand.
Yes.
I don't know how it fits into this one.
No.
And
Yeah.
a second point which I would like to do is, this is a way of living, but way of thinking is also important. Holistic way of thinking is, when you have a problem, don't look at the problem in isolation. It is essentially connected with lots of other issues. Okay? That is to think of it, when I have a problem, for example, psychological, this one, take something like a problem of sickness, that is essentially connected with lots of things that are going on. You know. So to think, it is impossible to think a problem in isolation without its being connected with other problems. That is the kind of a holistic way. You are a physician, you know.
Yeah.
Okay? So that when somebody comes as a patient, you know, you just don't look at that one rather holistically. That is a mode of thinking. I don't know how this sort of a thought fits into Dadaji's overall framework.
I'll answer that, and then we go to summary by Paneerselvam. So, very good points brought out by you. Now, very simple. That is why Dadaji started with daily living of mine. That I'm connected with my near and dear ones, I'm connected with my patients, whatever I'm connected right now, I'm connected with you all. This is my world. So I have to first, it is all right, I may not know scriptures, it is all right, I may not go for Atman, but at least I should know the art and science of daily living harmoniously, and there the things are very simple, that whichever actions of my mind, body, speech which are going to make others happy, do make me happy first. So world is me only, my wife is not different, she is me only, and my wife thinks I am, so the world is my own projection, that is one thing. In interconnected living, we all human beings, we love if the other persons love us. We try to love, and if other person doesn't reciprocate, we stop doing that. But the enlightened ones, they have experience that no matter what you do to me, I am full of love. So my heart is always full of love, and love is one which is free of expectations and conditions. So Dadaji's visions are all encompassing, all inclusive, including all situations and all interconnected aspects of living. About another aspect of holistic relative living, he said that you have to look to all corners, not only professional or career oriented or money making living, but personal living, familial living, social living, national and economical, or as a global citizen, not only outside living but inside living, my health as well as my spiritual developments. So all these aspects has been talked around, but in a short time we are trying to bring out some important aspects. So he has made touched all corners of relative living as well as the real living. So thank you very much. So Paneer Selvam ji, please on these daily living aspects. You take whatever.
Towards the end, perhaps. Thank you, Shaileshanandji. Now, just we'll try to summarize what we have been discussing. I'll start with the distinction which we have been talking about between individual consciousness and cosmic consciousness. The cosmic consciousness is something very much relevant in the present historical situation. And I think this is what Dada Bhagwan has been emphasizing in all his writings. So there is an interconnection that runs through this individual and cosmic consciousness. And in this way, he is able to connect the individual with that of the society. This is my first point. And secondly, I would like to state that for Dada Bhagwan, this we have to avoid clashes. As I mean, he was also asking a very wonderful question, our Professor Sambasiva Prasad. And because Dadaji argues that everyone may be right from his or her standpoint. So if we understand this, actually I quite often think that he represents the Anekantavada of Jain perspective, where we allow the other perspectives also to flourish. So when Dada Bhagwan talks about the clash, he says that instead of thinking that the other person is wrong, we have to admit the fact that the other person may be right also. So he or she is right from his or her own perspective. This is also a very beautiful notion which we have to, because most of the time we try to impress upon the others, we try to say that my view is right. So, and also he said, if you win the world, how can we win the world? That is one of the issues which is rising. Win your own house, that's what he says. Once you win your home, then the entire cosmos can come. And in fact, he says, don't bother about the world. The world need not be conquered. Then finally, he says, very rightly said, that the philosophy which Dada Bhagwan gives is an all-inclusive philosophy. Nothing is left out. This is also another unique feature of Dada Bhagwan. I would say it is all-inclusive. It includes each and every aspect. That's why from yesterday onwards, I have been stressing the point that for Dada Bhagwan, human beings and nature, which includes both animate and inanimate, are important. So this inclusive aspect is something very much relevant in the present situation. This is what I would like to say as my summary.
So thank you very much. Our journey is going on. So now we move on to the third topic, mind and its mysteries. Part of it has been talked by me in the plenary session of Asian Philosophy Conference, but much has been left out. So I request my another colleague, Swami Kantianandji, to dwell on certain important aspects, and before we open out to the questions for around 8 minutes.
मन और मन का रहस्य। मन एक ऐसी चीज है जो कहे कि हम ये पूरे शरीर का राजा है, राजा। एक शब्द में हम मन कहते हैं, मगर ये मन है वो हम कैसे जानेंगे? तो हर एक संयोग में, हर एक परिस्थिति में, जैसे जैसे परिस्थिति बदलती है,
वैसे वैसे हमारे विचार भी बदलते हैं। और सबसे बड़ी गलत मान्यता क्या है कि हम विचार कर सकते हैं, मैं अच्छा विचार कर सकता हूं, मगर हमें पता नहीं है कि जैसे संयोग हमें प्राप्त होते हैं उनके आधार पर हमारे विचार चलते हैं। तो मन एक ग्रंथियों का बना हुआ है और उसमें से संयोग के आधार पर विचार चलते हैं। मन का धर्म है निरंतर तरह तरह के विचार करना, और एक ऐसी भी मान्यता है कि मेरा मन इधर उधर भटकता है। वास्तव में मन कभी भी शरीर के बाहर निकल नहीं सकता। जो इधर उधर भटकता है वो चित्त है। चित्त वृत्तियां जो हमारी है उनका धर्म है, जहां भी हमारी सुख की मान्यता है तो चित्त वृत्तियां अपने आप उधर चली जाएगी, और चित्त वृत्तियां हमारे शरीर के अंदर भी भटकती है। शारीरिक कोई भी पीड़ा या दर्द है तो बार बार हमारा चित्त उधर चला जाएगा। चित्त जो है वो दो शब्द से बना है, दर्शन और ज्ञान। विनाशी वस्तु का हमें अगर दर्शन है तो ज्ञान का जो परिणाम है वो विनाशी की ओर ही जाएगा, और उसका परिणाम जो है वो आदि, व्याधि और उपाधि है। और अगर हमें सत्य का यानी कि अविनाशी तत्व का हमें दर्शन होता है तो उसके परिणाम स्वरूप ज्ञान भी ऐसा ही होगा, और इसके परिणाम स्वरूप परमानंद रहेगा। इसीलिए हम हरेक जीव मात्र के अंदर जो आत्म तत्व विराजमान है उसका हम दर्शन करते हैं, इसका हमें ज्ञान हुआ है तो हम सत चित आनंद कहते हैं। तो आनंद वो परिणाम है। और जब हमें हरेक परिस्थिति में प्रॉफिट लॉस बताता है वो बुद्धि है। हम कहीं भी जाएंगे, किसी भी परिस्थिति में, चाहे बस में जाए, चाहे प्लेन में जाए, कार से जाए, कहीं भी जाए, मगर हमारे जो बुद्धि का धर्म है वो बुद्धि का धर्म है निरंतर हमें प्रॉफिट लॉस बताना। शास्त्र का जो ज्ञान है वो ज्ञान वो बुद्धिजन्य ज्ञान है। वो प्रवचन देने में, वो वार्तालाप करने में वो बहुत अच्छा है, मगर जहां तक हमें हमारे स्वरूप का ज्ञान नहीं है, मतलब मैं कौन हूं इसका ज्ञान नहीं है, वहां तक बुद्धि से जो जाना है वो अहंकारी ज्ञान है, जो जानने से हमें ऐसा भीतर महसूस होता है कि मैं कुछ जानता हूं, मैं कुछ हूं, इसकी वजह से वो बुद्धिजन्य ज्ञान है, या उसे हम शास्त्र ज्ञानी कह सकते हैं। और आत्मा का ज्ञान जो है उसे अनुभव ज्ञान कहते हैं। और वो अनुभवी ज्ञान क्या है? वो हर एक परिस्थिति में, हर एक संयोग में हमें वो समाधान देता है। हमारे मन को हर एक परिस्थिति में जो समाधान देता है वो ही वास्तव में समाधि है, और वही वास्तव में आत्मज्ञान है। बुद्धि क्या है? आत्मा का जो परमात्मा प्रकाश है वो बुद्धि अहंकार के माध्यम से जो लाइट बाहर आता है वो बुद्धि है। और जब अहंकार नहीं होता है तो निरअहंकारी पुरुष को आत्मा का जो प्रकाश है वो एज इट इज आता है, और उसको भी ये जगत क्या है, ये कैसे चल रहा है, इसकी वास्तविकता क्या है, वो समझ में आती है। तो अहंकार, अहंकार का मतलब क्या है? वास्तव में मैं कौन हूं वो जानता नहीं है, और जो मैं नहीं हूं उसे मैं हूं मानता है, वो अहंकार है। मतलब जो हो रहा है उसे मैं कर रहा हूं ऐसा आरोपित भाव करना वो अहंकार है। तो मन का सबसे बड़ा रहस्य यही है कि जैसे जैसे उसके धर्म बदलते जाते हैं वैसे हम उसको मन से जानते हैं। भटकता है तो वो चित्त है, प्रॉफिट लॉस बताता है वो बुद्धि है, और मैं हूं वो अहंकार है। तो ये अंतस्करण जो है वो अपने धर्म के अंदर ही है। मगर हमारा जो धर्म है, आत्मा का जो धर्म है, ज्ञाता दृष्टा, अगर वो ज्ञाता दृष्टा स्वभाव प्रकट होता है तो मन को और उनके ये सारे रहस्य को हम मुक्तता से, आनंद से जान सकते हैं। जय सच्चिदानंद।
Thank you very much, Kantianandji, for nicely putting the things. Now we are open for questions. I hope there should be many questions in this area because it's area of mystery. If there are no questions, I can directly straight away hand over to Paneerselvamji. Oh yeah, sorry. They could not understand the Hindi and I apologize for that, but yeah, please, Sohan Rajji. Since there is a time saved as there are no questions, I can give it to him before moving to next speaker, Sreekala ji. Before he speaks, for the benefit of Paneerselvamji and Sreekala ji, I can just briefly translate what Kanti... You understood? Okay. So, shall I? That's okay, later on we can do. Thank you.
आदरणीय स्वामी कांत्यानंद जी ने बड़े सुंदर ढंग से मन और चित्त की बात बताई. So, and actually Kantianand ji has told the difference of the what is mind, and chit, that means what is the consciousness. So mind actually flickers. It has got taking whatever our senses take from the outside, that they give to the mind, and mind take the decision. Another mind what does, present, past and future, this has go to the mind. But mind is not all. The disturbances, turbulences which come not only through the mind, but is from the chit also. So he actually told main thing, the ego is the main thing. To know our existence, to have the self-realization, this ego comes in between. And ego actually prevents us to go to our natural existence. And he has also narrated the Dada's whole, this holistic science is take care of everything, every human being, every creature of the total cosmos. But the thing is to that, he emphasized that our main motto is to know who am I. And when this question starts, when a man starts who am I, then philosophy also starts. We teach our students that from where the philosophy starts. Philosophy starts when we start thinking who am I, from where I came and from where I am to go. That is the origination of the philosophy. So he has nicely put the difference of this mind and consciousness. We are understand it. When we understand in between, this come the ego. His emphasis was to reduce, to nullify, to vanish the ego. Or when it is vanished, we can reach near and near to our pure soul, like that.
Yeah, please. Please, we are ready. We can have time for, yeah, please.
The question came to me and then you just,
I didn't see.
Anyway, it's about what we talked about. The model of Antaskaran, or which Kantianandji described, is what Dada has given us. It can't be proven, And there are many other models of mind, Antaskaran, in Western world.
Yeah, all right.
So how do we say this is the right one, or this is one of the right one?
Very simple. See, the whole human life is ongoing experiment. And for the experiment, there are two things, experiment and experimenter. If my understanding is working right for me and giving me the right results, it has to be the right fundamental. Very simple. If it is not working right for me, it may not be right. So I think this is how we go. And as he said, everything starts with looking inside. The whole world is tuned to look outside. But first lesson of this holistic science is learn to look within. And when I start looking within, I can immediately see that there are thoughts, there is wandering of chit, profit and loss, judgmental and emotional aspects, ego. I can see for myself. There is no need to go out. This is the biggest laboratory. With some guidance, I can observe for myself. I think that's the whole. And two more points I would like to add. Because of time, probably he has not been able to. Ego is not only a word. It has a scientific thing. When the conscious, it is an element with its own innate properties and phases, as well as matter with its own existential substance or dravya, innate properties and matter, they have come together. The third extra special properties do get generated, and as long as there are bhranti or layers or I don't know, so it has come as ego and all anger, greed, pride, deceit and everything, which is neither the innate property of pure self, neither the innate property of matter, but they have come as extra special properties. And that is the link which is responsible for causing or new bindings or new karma bindings. So that is, but how we can get rid of it is by knowing who am I and who is the doer or how the things are getting done. Second thing, when the Krishna says in Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. So which paradharma or the others properties or innate properties he wants us to live, and which way he wants us to come into Swadharma. Traditionally, I will feel that he wants me to leave Jainism and Shaivism and go to him, and I went, but my work is not getting done. So he says, I'm not telling you that. The 5 karmendriyas, 5 gnanendriyas and mind, they are all in their innate properties or dharma. I not knowing who am I is not in my dharma. So these are some subtle aspects. Please.
My name is Prem Kumar. I'm from Bangalore. Is ego is against enlightened living?
Ego against?
Ego.
Huh?
Is against, I mean, is it the block between the self-realization? Block to the self-realization?
Yeah, I would put it other way around. As long as, see, body is there, the existential state, ego is going to be there. As long in a relative living, I may make positive use of ego or negative use of ego. So if I want to become happy, use positively. Ego is not a problem. Problem is ignorance of my own real self, which is giving rise to ego. So ego says, what can I do? You know yourself and I will go away. So yes, but the root cause is ignorance of the self, as I understand. So is it all, or shall I move to next topic or something more, please?
This whole discussion that we are having, in that discussion, when I hear it, I'm hearing it and absorbing it through my ego sense. And all the applications that I may have out of this discussion and understanding also is with ego sense. There is no way I can avoid that. Self-realization is outside ego sense, then how do I live in the world?
कांतियानंद जी, आप कुछ जवाब देना चाहेंगे? इसका मैं हिंदी करके देता हूँ आपको, कि ये बोल रहे हैं कि मैं जो कुछ सुनता हूँ, समझता हूँ, करता हूँ, वो मेरे अहंकार के माध्यम से है, और मेरा स्वभाव सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन तो अहंकार से बाहर है. तो कोई रास्ता है कि मैं दुनिया में किस तरह से जीऊँ? आपके लिए मैंने हिंदी करके दिया. एंड आई वाज टेकिंग ओवर फॉर द, या प्लीज आप हिंदी में जवाब दे सकते हैं, मैं इंग्लिश कर लूँगा उसका.
इंद्रियों का जो धर्म है, वो इंद्रियों का सभी धर्म को जानना, वही हमारा ज्ञाता दृष्टा स्वभाव है. उसमें ईगो बाधा नहीं करता है, क्योंकि ईगो जो है एक डिस्चार्ज ईगो है, कि जिससे हमारे ये शरीर की सभी क्रियाएं हो रही है, जिसे हम प्रारब्ध कर्म भी कह सकते हैं. मगर एक ईगो वो है कि मैं कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा हूं, फिर भी मैं करता हूं, ऐसा जो आरोपित भाव है, वो ईगो बाधा है, जिससे नए कर्म बंधन होता है. तो जब सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन होगा या हो गया है, तो जो डिस्चार्ज ईगो है वो बाधा नहीं बनता है, क्योंकि हम जो भी सुनेंगे, जो भी देखेंगे, वो सभी डिस्चार्ज ईगो से ही होगा. मगर आंख देखती है, भीतर एक ऐसा भी एक मान्यता वाला स्वरूप है, मैं देख रहा हूं, वो सब गलत नहीं है. आंख देख रही है, वो आंख का धर्म है. मैं देख रहा हूं, वो अंतस्करण का धर्म है, मान्यता का है. और ये सभी धर्मों को जो जानता है, वो आत्मधर्म है.
आप जो बात कर रहे हैं भाई साहब, उसमें एक कंडीशन आपने रखी कि जब आत्मज्ञान होता है, उसके बाद में डिस्चार्ज ईगो हम कह सकते हैं.
हाँ, बराबर.
अगर मुझे आत्मज्ञान नहीं हुआ है,
हाँ, तो आत्मज्ञान नहीं हुआ है, तो चाहे अच्छा देख रहे हैं या बुरा देख रहे हैं, या अच्छा कर रहे हैं या बुरा कर रहे हैं, या धर्म कर रहे हैं या अधर्म कर रहे हैं, सब ही बंधन है। क्योंकि जो हो रहा है, इट हैपन्स, उसको हम मान रहे हैं, मैं कर रहा हूं, वही ईगो है।
इनका सवाल बहुत मार्मिक है, बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो लास्ट में मैं एक दो वाक्य ऐसे कह सकता हूँ, इसीलिए बोला कि जगत के लिए कुछ, सबके लिए आत्मज्ञान संभव नहीं है। तो मैं दो चीज़ कर सकता हूँ कि मेरे ईगो को पॉजिटिवली यूज़ करूँ, मेरे मन वचन काया से सभी को सुख पहुँचे, किसी को दुख न पहुँचे। ऑब्लाइजिंग नेचर, इसीलिए हमने व्यवहार से शुरू किया था, जहाँ ईगो बेनिफिशियल रूप से काम करता है। ईगो अकेला कोई गलत चीज़ नहीं है। ईगो सबसे ऊंची स्टेज तक, वासुदेव नारायण और 63 उत्तम पुरुष जो माने गए, वहाँ तक ईगो का रोल है कल्याण स्वरूप में। सिर्फ एब्सोल्यूट होते हैं तभी वो संपूर्ण चला जाता है, वहाँ तक ईगो हायर स्टेट में जा सकता है। एक चीज़। दूसरी चीज़, जब मैं समझता हूँ कि कैसे हो रहा है, तो मैं निमित्त भाव में आता हूँ। क्या करता हूँ? और ये दो चीज़ से, पॉजिटिव यूज़ और निमित्त भाव, जगत में मेरे जीवन के लिए जो जरूरी है वहाँ तक मैं पहुँच सकता हूँ। Thank you very much. I invite Dr. Sreekala Nair to have her reflections on these, as well as her own neutral reflections about the things.
Please understand that this is just a response to what I have heard this past 2 days, and I have been hearing it during this round table. So I have titled it as Exploring Some Insights of Dada Bhagwan on the Real and the Relative. Transition from Krama Vignan to Akrama Vignan, the spontaneous knowledge, what I would understand as the Akrama Vignan, as the spontaneous knowledge that one should aspire for, to conceive the intricate nature of reality and the interrelation between God, Word and Soul, seems to me the axis around which Dada Bhagwan's thoughts revolve around. Krama Vignan is a term he uses to refer to disciplined approach to reality. You undergo various types of disciplines, and in a systematic way you try to reach up to reality. The term seems also, this Krama Vignan is a term that he uses to refer to various things. The term seems handy for him to refer to the analytic approach to nature adopted by contemporary physical science, a destructive way of understanding reality, to use his own phrase. Krama Vignan, according to Bhagwan, consists of findings of the intellect. He says the use of the intellect takes you to disaster, where the subject takes up active agentship. You think, I am the one who thinks and I am the one who conceives the cause-effect relation which brings about various changes and happenings in the world. While in Akrama Vignan, the agent is a non-performer. The findings of the intellect to him is divisive and partial, while Akrama Vignan gives a holistic understanding of reality. The characteristics of Akrama Vignan matches to my mind, more with that of the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, the characteristics of Sthita Prajna, beautifully related by Lord Krishna in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Particularly, it is very, very striking that since he refers to Vitaraga, Vitaraga, Bhaya, Krodha, Sthitadhi, Muniruchyade, as Lord Krishna describes the status of Sthita Prajna to the innocent question that comes from Arjuna. Sthitadhi kim prabhasheda, kimasida kim rajeda kim. Does he sit? Does he walk like us? To this, then Lord Krishna comes out with series of characteristics of Sthita Prajna, and most of the characteristics of Jnani that Dada Bhagwan speaks about finally matches with the characteristics of Sthita Prajna to my mind, particularly Vitaraga and Aparigraha. Though to me this term Aparigraha seems to have been borrowed from Jainism. Extending further on the characteristics of Jnani, he describes him as one whose thought, word and deed are well coordinated. you would have heard even earlier speakers did make a mention about this necessary coordination that we need to have between a thought, word and a deed. Many contemporary thinkers have explicated this as the tapas of our times. Today we don't have forests, nor do we have disposition to undergo penance like our ancestors. But then the tapas that we need to have in Kali Yuga, it has been said, is to achieve this coordination between the thought, word and deed. Here I am reminded of Jiddu Krishnamurti, who says that violence, you see that there is violence in the external world. Actually, the violence arises in ourselves first. And how does the violence arises in ourselves? When you do not have this coordination between the thought, word and the deed. Your doxas, you have a doxastic system, a belief system. And when you do violence to that, when you believe something and you speak something else and act in a very different order, you are doing violence to yourself. And it is this violence that arises in the individual gets spread in the society. And precisely Dada Bhagwan also speaks about this. He says that there are 3 causes for dukkha or sorrow, and they are Adhi, Vyadhi and Upadhi. Adhi arises, the anxiety arises out of our belief that we will be able to fix things as we desire. And Vyadhi, of course, is the disease. The whole thing, Adhi, Vyadhi and Upadhi are arising out of our understanding that we can fix the things in the world, and our intellect is able to encompass the world as it is. Even from a global perspective, holistic approach seems to be the need of the heart. It is not only from India. Of course, there are various modes of thinking today available in the name of holistic approach to reality. But from a global perspective also, we have contemporary phenomenologists like Merleau-Ponty, who gives a critique of modern science for borrowing the Cartesian dictum of body as a machine, which is dichotomous to the psyche. As you all know, Descartes make a division between the body, the psyche and the somatic functions as being distinct. I am referring to Merleau-Ponty, rightly points out the need of replacing it with the notion of a lived body. A body is a lived body in which, and please remember that in our Ayurvedic system, we always consider a lived body for treatment, in which there is an integration of psychosomatic exercises. Dada Bhagwan goes one step ahead of Merleau-Ponty and calls to integrate the spiritual along with the psyche and the physical. While the West stops with the mental, our ancient philosophers as well as the contemporary thinkers bravely march ahead to encompass the spiritual as well. In this presentation, I also wish to suggest that this order, I am referring to the holistic center, may take serious attempts to unearth the hitherto unexplored elements of scientific temper in classical Indian thought. Friends, please understand that our youngsters do not have a good regard for classical Indian thought precisely for this reason that they are under the impression that it is filled with speculative thinking. On the contrary, we have had scientific elements inbuilt in our classical Indian thought, which I do not have time to go to the details of it, which very well matches with the holistic conception which Dada Bhagwan says, and I presume that I was trying to tell Shaileshanandji that we could organize a seminar along these lines encompassing the holistic approach wherein the classical Indian thinking conceives the science and the metaphysical as one indivisible unity. As Tagore has famously said that we do not believe in nuclear families. Our theories exist in joint families where there is no division between grammar and mathematics and language and natural or physical sciences. Underlying the relativity of physical laws that rules over the nature, he underscores how the physical is influenced by the thinking subject. This is very impressive. He speaks about the relativity of the physical laws, and I don't want to waste time talking about the quantum wherein the relativity of physical laws has been brought about even by the contemporary physics that rules of the nature, and he underscores how the physical has been influenced by the thinking subject, how we determine the nature of the world as it is. His axiomatic position seems to be this: there is an interplay between the real and the relative. The thinking subject is part and parcel of the absolute real, holding an active position in determining the course of events that happen in the world. I quote, this cosmic mechanism functions according to the adjustment among the different phases of your feelings and nature. Therefore, don't disturb the functioning of the nature. If you desire that let there not be a rain because you are going out for a trip, well, that would trouble the dreams of a farmer who is craving for the rain. I'm just quoting, employing the very same analogy he has used. You will surely get everything in natural course, for nature makes no mistakes. He reasserts the non-local nature of consciousness, which is very, very interesting for those who are working in the area of consciousness, by devising Yojin Chakra. We are familiar with the 6 chakras that the yoga, Patanjala Yoga Sutra speaks about. Then he speaks about another, a 7th chakra called Yojin Chakra, which stands above our head, which links the subjective consciousness with the universal consciousness. This is, he says, it's being placed above our head, connecting the individual consciousness with the absolute consciousness. Here, I am reminded of the Madhuvidya. Just recently, a few hours ago, I heard a paper on Madhuvidya also of Brihadaranya Upanishad, wherein it has been beautifully brought out how everything in the nature is interdependent. And Dada Bhagwan underscores this interdependence of the relative world and the real world. The world is not a passive material entity. On the contrary, it is pervaded by universal consciousness with which humans can establish a link if he wishes. So in brief, Dada Bhagwan seems to my mind one thinker who reinterprets the Vedantic tradition with this revision of giving due role to the phenomenal world in the ontic system. Such daring reinterpretations of the ancient Vedantic wisdom deemed necessary to keep the tradition alive. Mere iteration and repetition of what has been said in the classical text, though it is very, very relevant, is insufficient to keep the tradition alive. To bring dynamism to tradition, such innovative philosophizing, contextualizing the ancient wisdom alone would serve the purpose, a function academic philosophers immersed in hailing or critiquing. Either we hail a particular text or a philosopher, or we criticize a particular philosopher. And we are immersed in such activity that we are shy of coming up with such innovative thinking. While keeping ourselves busy in building walls between systems, we dare not mix up Vedanta with Jainism. We are making category mistake. Because we are intended in building walls between systems, we have forgotten that we are also alienating philosophy from the life of the common man, because the common man wants to see how pragmatically it is meaningful in his life. A synthetic unity of Shramanic thought with Vedanta is yet another innovation. He has been juxtaposed to Jainism, and he has brought in the right mindfulness from the Shramanic thinking. Not that we philosophers are unaware of it, but then we are worried about making the category mistakes. We, the academics, dare not bring in Shramanic philosophy into Vedanta, though we are very well aware that it is a type of a philosophy which has successfully tied up the transcendental wisdom at the empirical world. And we are also aware that the basic insights of both Vedanta and the Shramanic, particularly that of Buddhism, are not very different. We fear mixing of the systems. We could take up such innovative ideas as our guiding lights, and I wish that academic philosophers, this is one appeal that the academic philosophers who are assembled here may initiate studies in, do research in systematizing Dada Bhagwan's thought. Unless you systematize whatever has been discussed here, it will not survive. In order to survive Dada Bhagwan's philosophy, it has to be systematized, something which is essential to bring it to the academic world. My appeal to the order is to permit the academics to critically view it. one thing that this particular order should take note of is permit Dada Bhagwan's philosophy to be critically reviewed. As I have said in the morning, a philosopher would be tributed if he is permitted to be criticized, which alone would fetch peer sanction, something essential for it to gain a place in academia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paneer Selvamji, any short comments, please? If there are, otherwise we are running with the time, so please.
Very clearly she has expounded Dada Bhagwan's main theme, I would say. I would like to start where she left. Now, this is my view also. When we are making a thinker, when we are talking about a thinker who has contributed for the upliftment of the common man, it is very much essential for us to keep him in the philosophical framework. This means that it is very much essential for us to see how Dada Bhagwan, in Dada Bhagwan's philosophy, there is a logic, there is metaphysics, there is epistemology and ethics. So all these things are very much essential, which is an essential compound, I would say, to mark a philosopher. And the very fact is that Dada Bhagwan's philosophy contains all these elements. Now this is a high time for us to go back to Dada Bhagwan and make him a philosopher per se. By what I meant by philosopher per se is to see how in his philosophy or in his writings, let us say, we could see all these aspects. Because as you know, a philosopher's endorsement is on these grounds. One must have epistemology, metaphysics, logic. So these are the essential principles on the basis of which you say, yes, he is a philosopher. And Dada Bhagwan, I have gone through almost all his writings, and I feel that it contains, in all his writings, he has emphasizing a philosophical system which I think has to be expounded properly. I think that is the need of the hour, because now whether you like it or not, a philosopher's stamp is very much essential. Then only it becomes a beautiful discourse. So that I think is a need of the hour, and very rightly she has pointed out. And one thing I would like to say that that very rightly she has pointed out how in Dadaji's philosophy there is an interconnection between the real and the relative. This is very much essential because by relative one can say that it has a connection with the, let us say, empirical world. I don't know whether I am permitted to use the word empirical and the transcendental in Dada Bhagwan's concept, but I would like to see this from the real, when we make a distinction between real and the relative, I would say that it is something which is connected to the empirical and the transcendental. Of course, the integration of spiritual and the physical, this is also something unique in Dada's philosophy. But if you look at, just I'll take off a minute. If you look at a Western philosophical discourse, there is always the distinction between the spiritual and the material, and most of the philosophers tie themselves to this material. But in Indian aspect, we see the spiritual part is very much emphasized. But it is in the philosophy of Dada Bhagwan, you see the synthesis of both spirit and matter, which is something remarkable, and in that context one can say it is a holistic approach. There are on various grounds one can say that, we can point out one by one and say that on these grounds we can say that Dada Bhagwan's philosophy is a holistic philosophy. Because yesterday one of the participants was asking, on what grounds you say that Dada Bhagwan's philosophy is a holistic vision. So I told him these are the aspects which one has to take into account when you see a philosopher or when you think a social thinker who has contributed substantially for the development of the individual as well as the society. So with this I will stop, and if there is some time later, because
So thank you very much, and I think we all are agreeing that, say, it's a universal open knowledge. So Dada Bhagwan invites, means knowledge, it's everyone's right to critically examine it or the way you, and we are all one and together. So having said that, within next 30 minutes, I have 3 more topics, and I request the speakers to be as brief and as specific as possible. I invite Deepakanandji to have the presentation on art and science of speech and communication, 6 to 8 minutes.
My all-time heartfelt obeisance to Dada Bhagwan, the living holistic science, and today's manifest, His Divine Holiness, Kanu Dadaji, Honorary Chairperson, Coordinator, Professor Punit Selvam, enlightened speakers, and enlightened audience. Remember, the buck stops here at holistic science. So, any query from any corner, we are going to get the answer. Time, sky is the limit. But if an ignorant person with no background of spirituality or science or religion, if he could be established and installed with experience in the center of spirituality, we are sure he will be able to handle this, definitely. Okay, speech. The way the total experience of any individual get expressed in his speech, his words, this is how the value of words is there. So, how is the speech formed basically? If we try to see that, it is totally based on our previous code, my previous intent, the vibrations, what I send, what I feel inside, and which are projected egoistically out of ignorance. Even the words for science and spirituality are projected egoistically in the ignorant state, and that's how it gets culminated and resulted into result. I mean, you get. And as such, we know that the very sound is not the natural result. It is unnatural live matter result. It is called Vibhavik Parinam. So those codes which are coded, which are formed inside previously, gets converted into shorthand, which normally gets run as our inside speech, which constitutes almost like 7/8 of the total speech. And along with today's changed intent, I say changed intent, the script changes outside, constituting 1/8 of the total speech. And that's how the spoken speech is like tip of the iceberg. Subtle science of speech. Can anybody speak independently? We say no and yes. Why? Yes and no? No. No and yes, both. No, because it is karmic effect, and so it is discharge, and no one has any control. Dada Bhagwan called that as tape record. Speech is like a recorded tape. And yes, because if the intent changes today, the speech changes today. This everybody can experience. So all this, it is tape record. Vocal speech is second discharge. And at this level, it is important that speech is very pivotal in our experience. So how can we change our speech for better? For that, I must know what should be the standard or level of my speech, what should be the nature of my speech. As Dada Bhagwan has brought out so very nicely, it should be sum total of these basic 4 factors. It should be truthful, it should be beneficial to others, it should be concise, and it should be pleasing to others. Ultimately, it should be Syadvad. And the meaning of Syadvad means our speech is such that no one is heard from any corner, even slightly. Our friends or our foes both gladly accepts us. So this is the power of speech. Additionally, speech should be free from insistence. It should be as per the situation and as per the situation demands, the number of words it should include. Precisely, it should reveal the principles of life and holistic science. Precisely, it should be free from ownership. It should come out as it comes out depending on the instrumental cause and the listener. With total mindfulness. It should come out with total mindfulness, with total perception and knowledge. It should be able to eliminate obstacles of the listener, and which enlightens and awakens the soul self. What is the time? It should be concise with a lot of hidden fold qualities. It should be originally pure, virgin, and taintless like natural spring water. It should be such that it does welfare of the speaker and the listener both at the same time. It should be such that it should give lesson, and at the same time, later on, it gives lesson even in the future. You know, every field of knowledge, science, art, it gets expressed through speech. This is the value of speech. And if that speech goes to that highest level, it can awaken our inner soul, it can eliminate our ego, and that's how the speech of enlightened ones goes like that. So, okay. This is important thing. Dada Bhagwan's speech was such, it would remove our obstacles and it is totally free from all contradictions. And that's how he is Jnani Purush, and he has said that the word Dada and Dada Bhagwan is full of fame. In Hindi it is called Yashnam Karma. So anyone who says, even utters this word Dada or Dada Bhagwan, he would be blessed with total success, which we all experience that. Okay. Our takeaway is very important. We all learn we all learn Sanskrit, Magdi or Prakrit, the Prakrit Bas language, because we know that those things are, the science, the classical spirituality is available in those language. Dada has said that whoever who wants to know this science as it is, must learn Gujarati. I am one of the example. I did not know Gujarati, all that, but after I came to Dada, I learned Gujarati. And one more last principle of words or speech is, today, although Lord Krishna has spoken Gita Ji 5,000 years back, if you have the skill and knowledge, you can retrieve those words as it is from the atmosphere, but you must have that skill. And that's how, ultimately, every spoken word needs correction, and that's how we must be doing. We must see that we don't hurt anyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, looking to the interest of time, there is going to be general body meeting over here at 7. So anyhow, I have to finish my match at 6:45 or 6:50. So we are not taking the questions, straight away going to the two next topics, and Dr. Paneer Selvam is also of the same opinion. So Hetal Ben, please come fast. And my due apologies to my colleague speakers, because I have to manage so many scientific circumstantial evidences here.
Respected chairperson, coordinators, speakers, participants, namaskar to all. My topic of presentation is self-realization means realize who am I, why it is needed in the present day context for acquiring permanent happiness. Now, let us try to understand the most subtle of human experiment as explained by Dada Bhagwan in a simple way. When I say, my name is XYZ, then who am I? When I say, this is my wristwatch, the wristwatch and owner must be separate. When I say, my house, my car, my money, my speech, even I say, my egoism, everything which I refer to as my or mine, then who is I? If my or mine put aside on one side, what would remain on the other side is I. I am aware that I am name-bearer, but as a matter of fact, I am not aware who am I. Now, we will try to examine the part of my. Everything which falls under my or mine is continuously changing, and also the beginning and the end. When my is continuously changing part, the one who knows that is changing has to be constant or non-changing. Similarly, one who knows that is temporary has to be permanent. Thus, I is there as knower and seer and is permanent. But out of my ignorance, I get two parts mixed up. My is temporary and I is permanent. In other words, we can say the doer and knower cannot be one, but must be separate. So if I say, I did it, or even I say, I knew it, both cannot be the same, must be separate. One is to separate I and my with the help of Gnani separator. I and my cannot be fully and completely separated by ourselves, as it needs help and grace of one who has fully experience of both separateness. Let us try to understand I mean in its real perspective is Chetan or pure soul, and my is relative or Pudgal. Pudgal means Puran and Galan. Pudgal is a technical word. Puran means filling in and Galan means emptying out. The pure soul has its own property, so as matter. But as the two elements, Chetan and matter, come together, extra special properties are enlightened in the form of name error. Now let us try to understand how extra special properties do get generated, especially in human format. Now let us try to understand how extra special properties do get generated, especially in human format. When one believes that I am a name bearer, the process of charge and discharge continuously goes on. There is an atomic and molecular configuration of my mind, speech and body from whatever bhav generated from time to time. According to bhav or inner state of existential being, we have attracted atoms and molecules collectively making subtle causal body. And from that, our mind, body, speech are formed to give us results. Now I will like to share my experience in self-realization in few words. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Sorry. Within 10 minutes, we have two more speakers, Bharatanandji. Some simple scientific universal tools.
All religions are truly based on scientific principles. The main aim of science is to make life of mankind more comfortable, more convenient by improving external circumstances. This is because living science is at the core of every existence. And all religions are originated from humans only and are mainly for humans who are the only species going against nature. Religion, I say holistic science, aims to make mankind happy within and without under all kind of circumstances at any time and at any place by simply changing the inner vision and understanding of a person. During one's journey of life, one passes through extreme circumstances of happiness and sorrow, favorable and unfavorable, positive and negative. One who can remain at peace undisturbed even in extreme and adverse circumstances is said to have the correct knowledge of understanding of religion. With right vision, one can easily live a happy and blissful life. Let's see the first step to achieve this state. All religions have taught us to have kindness for all, but we human beings have failed miserably to cultivate it in our life. So Dada Bhagwan, the legendary spiritual icon of holisticism, absolute scientist of science of absolutism, guaranteed that if any human being does this inner intent with sincerity for whole life, they definitely will get human form again and also liberation from cycle of birth and death by coming in contact with Jnani. So he asks us to do following prayers daily. In the morning, when you wake up, first thing to do is ask for the strength from the God, whoever you believe, or from the Mother Nature. That, oh God, give me an infinite inner strength so that I do not hurt any living being in this world by my thoughts, by my speech, or by my action. In fact, one must firmly resolve not to hurt any living being during the whole day. Even after following this first step, it may happen that you end up hurting someone knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally. In that case, one need to ask God for forgiveness with sincerity at heart before you go to sleep. That, O pure soul within me, O God within me, you reside within all living beings just as you reside in me. O God, O pure soul, with utmost devotion and oneness, I offer my salutations to you. I confess to you all mistakes that I have committed in ignorant state. I am sincerely and deeply repenting for these mistakes and ask for your forgiveness. Please forgive me and grant me the strength never to repeat such mistakes. O God, please bless us all with such grace that we attain oneness with you all the time. This simple, fundamental first step of all religions has a very great power of transformation and brings about the change far more than an atomic bomb. Now let me give you one practical example of this thing. A year before, I was in Europe and the discourse was in one city, and after that I have to travel to another city which is about 3 hours drive away. So after the discourse was over, the person who gave me ride, in the car he asked me, Swamiji, one of my friends, we are studying together before 14 years in university, his house is on the way after 1 hour. And he has invited me for tea. So if you don't mind, we can go there and we will reach half an hour later. I said, okay, no problem. Now, then what he did, he told that his friend, and he told him that, of course, I am coming, but with me, my spiritual master is also coming. So he said, okay, you are most welcome. Now, when we reached his home, they both welcomed me very well, greeted me very well. And when I was sitting on sofa, he came to me and told me, I am not interested in religion, so please don't talk anything religious with me. I said, okay, I will not talk anything religious, but I will talk scientific. So both were so happy. Then what happened? They were talking. So they were sitting about 7-8 feet away from me on the carpet, and I was sitting on the sofa. So after 15 minutes, there was some break. So at that time, I asked that person, that guy, he was mechanical engineer, and that girl was a fine arts graduate. I asked them, you want to be happy in your life? So they both turned to me, stared at me and said, yes, definitely. Then I told them, I can give you one master key, which my master Dada Bhagwan gave me. So attentively they came nearer, about 2-3 feet. Okay, give us. I can give you, but for that you will have to spare 4 to 5 minutes daily. They confirmatively said, yes, we will. Because are you giving me promise? Yes, promise. Then I gave them the first sentence, morning prayer. I don't want to hurt any living being in this world by my thoughts, by my speech, or by my action. And I asked them, even if you will ask for this strength, you will have firm determination within, then also it will happen, you will hurt somebody. So for that, before you sleep, you ask for this forgiveness. So then that girl asked me, why to ask for apology? Why to ask for forgiveness? I will never, in India, nobody will ask me this type of question. But she asked me, why to ask for apology? Now what to reply her? Then I told her, the dress you are wearing, say you are in picnic outside, whole day you are outside, and in the evening when you will come back, what you will do? You will change your dress and then you will put it in the laundry bag. Correct? You will put it in the laundry bag. Why? So your dress is getting dirty. Same way, when you hurt somebody by your thoughts, by your speech, or by your action, your inner dress is getting dirty. So for that also you require something. So she got convinced. Then after some time, they both say, okay, we'll do this prayer. We'll do this thing. This is, the guy told me this is not religious and I am convinced and I can do it. This is logical. Then after some time, that girl asked me, okay, you were telling me okay, you will not talk anything religious, this is not religious, but how come it is scientific? How it is scientific? Another question. So I told her, okay, you know Newton's third law? Newton's third law is actions and reactions are equal and opposite. Here, during the whole day, what is your action? I don't want to hurt any living being. That is our action. And it is sincere action because in the night before you sleep, you are asking for the apology. So as a result, what Mother Nature will do? Mother Nature will give you such circumstances that nobody will hurt you. And when nobody will hurt you, what will remain with you? Happiness. So this is a simple scientific thing that Dada Bhagwan gave us. And after 1 year, when they contacted me again, they were not able to meet me at that time. But I asked them, are you doing it? Both said, yes, we are doing it. Then I asked, how many days you forget? Not a single day. So then again I asked, you have any benefit? What she told me? My inner strength is increasing day by day. So I don't understand what she will understand inner strength. So I asked, what is inner strength? So she replied me, before for small thing I was getting disturbed and now I am not getting disturbed. And the guy told me that I can feel that my positivity is increasing day by day. So this science, this is a holistic science revealed by Dada Bhagwan. It's very, very effective. There are 2-3 points, but next time we'll talk. Okay? Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. We have the last speaker, Geeta Desai, and then Dr. Paneerselvam's and Chairman's remarks. Please come.
All the scholars, Swamiji on the dais and off the dais, Jai Sachidanand. We will be going with a happy, harmonious, stress-free inner living through 9 priceless diamond, or you can say 9 divine codes of conduct. Now, history of 9 divine codes of conduct. Before getting self-realization at Surat, stationed in 1958, the holistic scientist Sri M. Patel, popularly known as Dada Bhagwan, for more than 40 years led his life with 14 codes of conduct, out of which he gave us 9. Who is Dada Bhagwan? The picture we see is of Sri M. Patel. In him had manifested Dada Bhagwan, fully manifested God. That's what we mean when we say Dada Bhagwan and gave obedience to. Now, science behind this projection or prayer. Today's mind, speech and body are the fruits or effect of the past seeds, and fruits are the results. It may not change. So what need to change is the cause or the seed. 9 codes of conduct will consequently and subsequently will change our behavior. This scientific approach of cause and effect, the inner weakness will slowly and slowly will be removed. It is for whom 9 divine code of conduct is essence of holy scriptures and is for everyone. It covers the vast spectrum of our daily interaction with other as well as related to our personal health, food and how to be stress free. The first code of conduct, not to hurt, causing someone to hurt or supporting someone hurting, even slightly, the ego of any living being through mind, speech and body. The second, not to hurt, causing someone to hurt or supporting someone, even slightly, the foundation or viewpoint of any religion. The third one, not to enact any verbal wrangle, misdeed, misconduct or showing disregard to any preacher, monk, nun or religious head or anyone we learned from. The fourth, not to dislike or hate any living being to the slightest extent, neither cause anyone nor support anyone doing it. The fifth code of conduct, to restrain from speaking harsh, hurtful language, any sticky language to anyone, to speak soft, sweet language to others, despite of others biting, bitter, egoistic and scathing language. Now we'll go to the sixth one. To restrain from committing the carnal deeds, desire or gesture or thought of perverted sensuality or passion towards any gender, masculine, feminine or neuter. To be free from the cobweb of Cupid. Now the seventh one, that is also very important. To control temptation of regarding in any relish or flavor of food. To take well-balanced, wholesome food of 6 tests. The eighth one, not to enact any inflammatory speech, verbal wrangle, misdeed or misconduct, causing someone to do so or supporting someone doing so to any creature directly or indirectly, living or dead. The essence of ninth code of conduct to be instrumental in establishing real well-being in the world. Yog, Upyog, Paropkaraya. Conclusion, the power of bhav or wish or projection or prayer has been very well documented in many literatures of the world. Conclusion of this 9 priceless diamond. They are also like a pratikraman or repentance, since we are accepting our past mistakes and we are asking for inner strength not to repeat again. The world is fortunate to have them, especially since it is scientific and by experiment have been proved to get one of the highest result in one's life towards the self-realization. Thank you so much. Jai Satchidanand.
So thank you. These were some of the highlighting points which Dada Bhagwan's holistic science brings out. Now I invite Dr. Paneer Selvam to have his remarks.
I'll be very, very brief. Now 2 or 3 points which I would like to highlight. One of the significant contribution, I would say, is Dada Bhagwan's approach towards speech. Indian philosophical tradition use the word vak. And Dada Bhagwan has raised one important question, namely, that can we speak independently? This is a very, very important issue, which one may, when you are reading his writings, one may ignore that, if you give a casual reading, but it has got a lot of implications. Now, the thing is, I since I am a student of philosophy, I would like to see this from a philosophical perspective. Plato argued in one of his dialogue that, one of his dialogues says, he always prefers speech. Why? He says, speech is more important than something which is written. And he says, why? Because in speech, the other person is there. Okay? The other is there. So there is a dialogue that can take place. So if I say something wrong, then my good friend Harish Bhai would correct me, no, you are wrong. But once I write down something and keep it, if I write a letter, send an email to him, then if I make some mistakes or something said wrongly, then I am not there to explain to him, no, I didn't mean that one. So Plato long back said that speech is, in fact he says, written words are like fatherless children. Because there is nobody to protect the words. But in speech it is not like that, you are there. But no, I am just seeing this from philosophical perspective. But what is important is, when Dada Bhagwan talks about the significance of speech, he means in speech the other is there. So we should not hurt, because you can't have a monologue. No? When somebody is there, Shukla is there, when I speak to him, then there is a dialogue. So this means while I am entering into a dialogue, this is my problem, I always move from the mic. So when we are having a dialogue, the other person's values must be taken into consideration. This is very, very important. So in fact he said, as somebody has very rightly said, speech is like a tape recorder. This is a very beautiful statement. It is a metaphorical usage, in fact. So this means our speech should not hurt the other. This is what it implies. This, I would say, has got a profound philosophy. So this means he says, stop misusing speech. Once again, I don't want to dwell on this more, because there is one Western thinker by name Habermas, who also talks about the significance of speech. So I try to compare this with Dada Bhagwan, and there are a lot of implications. Perhaps I can write a detailed paper on this. Then the last part is a transformation. This is the most significant contribution, I would say, which our Dada Bhagwan has made, because he talks about the individual transformation as well as the social transformation. This is very much essential. So that is the reason why in all his writing he stresses the need for the individual to transformation. So this transformation will take us to the society's or social transformation. So this is very rightly our last speaker has beautifully pointed out the 9 codes of conduct, which is very, very essential. They are simple. Each and every one of us can easily practice that. So if you take into account the entire contribution of Dada Bhagwan, one can say, and also she said that Dada Bhagwan is nothing but, his philosophy is nothing, we can call him as a fully manifested God. I would say he is God on earth, a Jivan Mukta, whose contribution is something remarkable. And one more, with one more sentence, I am always fascinated by the term which he has been using in man is a gust of nature. There is something, when I read it, I was astonished, because nowadays we talk about cosmological view. We talk about, we move from the anthropological to cosmological. Now this aspect is something which he anticipated long back. In the West we talk about deep ecology and all, like Harmonious and all that one, but it is very much available in Dadaji's presentation. So very rightly one can say, as she said, fully manifested God. And with one more statement, with that I will conclude. We can call him, and I would like to call him as a common man's philosopher, because the common man needs guidance. He has to be liberated. So Dadaji's philosophy has got a social relevance, and I am grateful to our Shaileshanandji for giving me this nice opportunity, and I thank you all. Thank you very much.
In fact, we are privileged to have you here, and we are very, very grateful to have, and we are one again. We are one, and Dada's one family. Professor Sohan Raj Tater for the chairman's remarks, please.
It's my great pleasure to have a chair among our all respectable Swamijis in this discourse. All our Swamijis, Swami Shaileshanandji, Swami Mineshanandji, Swami Kantianandji, Swami Deepakanandji, Swami Bharatanandji, and Geeta Desai Bahan, Hetal Patel Bahan, and Nair Madam, and the Dr. Paneerselvam and Dr. Shaileshanandji. Every speaker tried from his angle to prove Dr. Dada Bhagwan philosophy as a holistic science for the welfare of individual as well as for the welfare of whole cosmos. So that way we can say that Dada's philosophy is a role model for ideal living and thinking, because nothing is remaining behind it, because it starts from the distinction of the real and relative. And the start is there. First you start question to yourself, who am I? Then the things start. As Dr. Paneerselvam has dealt, he is a man philosopher. It's a great thing. Dada has actually cared, or he has the compassion for every creature of this living being, not of the man, whole cosmos. That's why Dada say, I will be attaining the salvation at last, and I will take first everybody to have the salvation. So that way, all the 5 agyas of the Dada and the distinction of the real and relatives, and the thing is that to err is human. Every time we can have some errors, but Dada has given the solution of the purification also, that is of Samaik, Alochana, Pratikraman, Pratyakhan, about which at length is had been told. So that way we should have this philosophy in our life, and if we follow this philosophy from right beginning, that means we should take the Gyan of Dada, and if we follow it in the real sense, we can start transforming ourselves. And as the talk of the ego is told, the good ego, discharge ego, positive ego and negative ego. So by slowly our negative ego will go on diminishing, and positive ego, as we are in relative world, it is essential sometimes also. So the discharge ego will functioning. So that way this is a holistic in the sense that it never actually remains anywhere. There is a reply of every question. Question of individual to the cosmos, reply is there in Dada's philosophy. So on another thing, actually it gives us the solution of all the present problem of the whole universe. We can take the problem of the individual, and there is solution is there for the politically, for our these families, and for our nation, and all types of our cultural this and clashes also, because Dada's this all the things which he has done, that came from his inner soul. He is a divine soul, he is a pure soul. That was the thing, came from intuition, and with the intuitional things when come, it gives the real solution, because at the level of our intellect, there are some differences that are there, but when some things come from our say inner soul, pure soul, then the things will be always pure, and as when this negative ego will go on vanishing, then definitely we will come closer to the happiness, which is the ultimate aim of our everybody's life. As Swamiji has told, that they didn't want to hear anything about the religion, but when in other way, when he make them understood scientifically, then they came to him and they responded and they replied. Every day they are following what was been told by the Swamijis. So that way, from any dimension, if we take the Dadaji's all this philosophy, then from we can make our life happy, our home happy, and we can start doing our self-realization, which is our say main motto of the life. So that way, and another thing, whatever rituals we do, whatever feelings we have from any caste, creed, or any language, any problem, it doesn't affect at all, because it's give a real knowledge of ourself, knowledge of our universe, and it is a solution-oriented philosophy. The main thing today, the philosophy that will be alive, or that will be fruitful, which gives the solution of the problems which are arising in say this whole cosmos, and there are all potentiality in Dada's philosophy to give all type of the solution. So we had a great our spiritual discourses, everybody enjoyed, and we hope that with these discourses we can know much about the philosophy of Dada Bhagwan, and we should try that it should conduct in us, and we can take more and more other details from the Swamis, because these all are dedicated throughout the life, and every time they are preaching at the end, another thing, they follow what Dada has told in their own life. The main thing is that the Dada's philosophy should come in our conduct, then we will start realizing ourselves, which is the main motto of the life. So thanks to all, and my all gratitude to respected Swamiji, Shaileshanandji, Panishelvam, and Sister Geeta Desai, and Sister Hetal Ben, and Nair Madam also. Everybody tried very nicely. All are very enlightened persons, and they have talked in a very nice way, and everybody tried at his super perfection to prove Dada's philosophy as a holistic science for our ideal living, thinking. Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam is type of the short model everybody has tried to take from the Dada's philosophy. Thank you, all of you.
So, thank you. We end this session here, but it will have the continuing things in future. Thank you very much. Yeah, tomorrow we have another round table on mysteries of human life and universe from 11:15 to 1:15. That will be the mysteries of human life and universe. Thank you very much.